I'm Dylan Black. You know what? Today, women only hold 30% of jobs in science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM. We're going to find out more right now about how we can change that as we say hello to Melissa Bunn, who's joining us. Hello.
Hi.
You're a professional hydrogeologist.
You got that right.
Got that right, okay. And Kathleen Lombardi as well. Nice to see you. You are a research engineer with CanMet Energy.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. Melissa, can you tell me exactly what a hydrogeologist is?
Yeah, I'm a person that studies the science of how water flows through the ground beneath our feet. So almost everywhere we stand, there's water. We use that for drinking, and it supplies some of the water to our rivers. So that's what I study.
It's pretty important stuff, I'd say.
Yeah.
Water is essential. And Kathleen, how are things at CanMet Energy?
It's nice to work there. I've worked there since about 2005. And the campus does a variety of things, but the group I'm with studies buildings and renewable energy systems for houses and communities and that kind of thing.
Okay. Melissa, I mentioned that statistic 30% of women are in STEM. Why do you think it's only 30%?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a historical stigma, for one thing, about, like, typically you've seen mostly men in these kinds of fields, and it's changing gradually. It helps that things are changing. I think the other part that can sometimes make people a bit scared of pursuing these types of careers is that, again, traditionally women have been the person at home with families and kids, and so I think it's important that we get the word out that you can have these great, exciting careers and fun, but you can balance that with life at home or whatever else you want to do.
Is it a challenge, though, the work-life balance sometimes? Yeah? Oh, you reacted to that.
Absolutely, yeah. Melissa and I both have kids.
Yeah.
I've got 3 kids. Melissa has 2, and it's tough to know when you should stay home and be parenting them, and then you feel guilty for missing out on your career, and then when you come back to your career, you feel guilty about not being home with the kids. So
not an easy thing sometimes to balance.
It's a balance for sure.
Yeah.
Kathleen, what initially got you involved in this field when you were you young?
I was
real young?
Probably being born in an airplane, pretty close to it. My dad was a bush pilot in northern Saskatchewan and flew planes all around. Car rides were treats in our family, so I grew up in the backseat of an airplane pretty much, and just watching
That's not the airplane, though, is it?
Actually, that's my dad. And the funny story is that I have that propeller hanging on my living room wall right now.
Oh, do you?
So that's a relic. That was 1965, I think, or somewhere around there. So he was about 25 years old.
So obviously, this is something that you love doing at an early age. And
absolutely, yeah. It's been part of my life. I loved planes. I tried to be a pilot in the military, but that didn't work out because of physical reasons. So I went into aerospace engineering, and I studied there for quite a few years. I have a master's degree now, and I guess the same principles of airplanes apply to many components of renewable energy, and I've got some props here I could show you.
Well, let's look at them then. That's a good segue. What exactly are these props that you brought with you?
Sure. So the first thing I brought was a couple pieces of instrumentation. So for renewable energy, the first thing we might do is do an assessment for how much renewable energy resource there is at a particular site. And so this is a little pyranometer, it's called. So we just put this out in the sunlight, and it measures how much sun we have at that, how much energy we have at that location. And this is called an anemometer. And if I just blow on it, so the more wind there is, the faster it turns. And then we can put a signal out to a data logger and record wind speeds at a particular site. And so we know how much energy we have at a location.
Okay, and this one looks a little more
So
in depth.
the other 3 toys I brought today, so these are instrumentation for doing resource assessment. And so this is how we actually go out and harness the renewable energy. So this is actually a water turbine, I guess. So we put like a dam above some distance, and then bring the water down through a jet and shoot it at these cups, and it turns, and then the turning rotation would be connected to a shaft that creates electricity.
Science.
Yeah, and similar principles with wind. A lot of people are becoming familiar with wind turbines, and then I just brought a little solar panel from one of my kids' toys that collects solar energy.
So the tools that help with your everyday work, obviously. Okay, so, and Melissa, quickly tell us what you brought with you to help you out with your career?
Well, I just brought a couple things that show the transition of my career. Really, when I was in graduate school, I was doing computer models of how water might flow through a sand like this. And eventually I was like, well, this is fun, it's interesting science, but I wanted to do something that was a bit more applied. So then I brought, what's neat is this is a little piece of a core, which is when we drill into the ground and pull back rock. But this is basically like a sedimentary rock, a limestone or a dullstone that you'd have here, and then salt. And the way water flows through this one side is quite different than the other side. So it's fun to think of the ways we can use models in our mathematics to represent.
And we have a quick video of yours as well.
Yeah.
We'll just have a quick look at.
Yeah. So this is what a groundwater model looks like. This is what I spend a lot of my time doing. And basically, it's a computer simulation of groundwater. And this is a big, like 80 by 50 kilometer area of the ground. There's about 1 million little points of triangles in there. And at every point, there's a calculation done about how much water flows through. And it depends on the type of rock.
Okay, that's fascinating stuff. And I wish we had more time, but yeah, we need to get more young women involved in STEM.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Melissa and Kathleen, for being here today.
Thanks so much.
Good stuff. I understood most of it. More daytime coming up.